Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Ernest Wieler, and today I'm going to present you the spare part catalog process from creation to purchasing. While showing this presentation, I will touch several products, and I hope you will enjoy this session. Like I mentioned, my name is Ernest Wieler. I'm 43 years old, married, and I have 2 children. Since 11 years, I'm working for Caron Beratungsgesellschaft as the lead consultant for manufacturing, documentation, and mixed reality. And in that capacity, I'm responsible for all products relating to Cortona 3D and the Siemens Industry software. Before we begin, I would like to show you a simple architecture how the environment can be set up for a spare part process. We have basically 4 segments, which will be partially also touched in this presentation, especially the authoring part on the left, which is covered by the RapidCatalog. The RapidCatalog will be used as an authoring tool by the supplier. And on the other side, we have the webshop used by the customer and interactive with the customer when it comes to the spare part purchasing process. In between, we have the PLM, the CRM, and the ERP layer, which is always connected to our products and very decisive then seeing the content of the tools. For example, from the authoring side, we need the 3D data, and from the webshop side, we need the pricing information. The spare part process is made up by 7 stages. The first stage is the creation. The next one is the publication. The third one is the embedding into the webshop. The fourth is the pricing in the webshop. 5 is the shopping cart. And the last one is the actual order request. We will start with the creation. The creation is done by the RapidCatalog, a product from Cortona 3D. And the base function of the RapidCatalog is creating catalog pages in an HTML format, and we basically use 3D data together with bill of material information, and we see here a picture of my traverse, which you will see over the next slides. It's completely in 3D, and it is also enriched with PLM information or ERP information such as bill of material. Together we will have an overview of our future product, which will be part of our spare part catalog. The traverse is made up by the primary beam and 2 secondary beams, so we see 3 sub-assemblies, and I intend for each of those sub-assemblies later on to have one catalog page. So it should be a one-to-one transformation from each assembly to my page, basically always in an automatic process. And you will see this now here. Let's start with a new project. We have an empty RapidCatalog project, and the first step is to import the 3D data. For that purpose, I will go to Import Data. The Import Data function will open a new window, and inside that window I will go to Settings. And for that purpose, I have already added a new profile. It will convert a step file. This step file will be already available, and the idea is to import the step file and to also have later on those assemblies, correspondingly the pages. The import has been successfully completed. I confirm the selection. I turn on the 3D geometry. And as you can see, we have the assembly already imported. And the interesting part is that for each assembly, for each main assembly in that case, I have a corresponding page for my publication later on. So when I go to the main beam, I can see the main beam. If I go to the side beam, I can see the side beam. Of course, always the corresponding sub-assemblies or sub-components. And in addition to that, we have also the DPL table, which contains all the 3D data. And in that case, also for each component, we have a corresponding file, which will be later on used for the publication. And the new functionality in RapidCatalog, where I get those pages automatically created, is quite powerful and saves a lot of time, which before was a relatively tedious import and creation process. We will now go to the second step of our process, the publication. What we saw was only the authoring part of a spare part catalog. Now comes the publication, so the site which the consumer will see later on. And that primary format is usually HTML5. You will also see this in this presentation, but PDF is also possible. We come now to the publication stage. My intention for the content which I will offer each maintenance worker or anyone else who intends to purchase parts from that assembly. You might also see I've already removed one of those assemblies which I don't need because the side beam is a duplication. So for the purchase part over the purchase area, I just need one page, and I also have them in an isometric view. I added some viewpoints and I'm now ready for the publication. I go to publish and confirm it. The publication has been already completed. I want to view this. And this is the publication. In my case, a publication in a Chrome browser, so an HTML-based publication. We have again our beam with our side beams. We have the DPL table, our bill of material. I can see also the quantities. The main beam only one quantity and the side beam twice. So we have two components. I can also switch between those pages. I left the main page. The main page is here. We have also several subcomponents, sub-assemblies. The same applies also for the side beam. And the interesting part is, of course, I can now also purchase those side beams. We have reached now the third step of our process, the embedding process. When embedding content from the RapidCatalog, we can use the vast variety of web shops. So there is no limitation when it comes to this. The web shops are either out-of-the-box solutions or there can be also customized solutions. But for our session today, we are going to use the Quality Circle. This is a web portal which can be used for the web shop functionalities, for the web shop process, but it can be also used for equipment management in general. Here we see the login screen of the web portal. I have already filled out my credentials and I will confirm the selection. Once I have confirmed it, we see the dashboard of our web portal. We have here an overview of all our managed equipments. In my case, I have already the managed equipment for my traverse. I will navigate to that spot. And here I have a list of all the traverses, in my case the 1-ton one, and I will select it. With the selection, we see the overview, we see the picture, we see the metadata, we see the material number, and so on. The material number and also the material information of it is based on information we got from our ERP system, which is SAP, and it is transferred to the web portal. You can have all the information in the web portal itself, having it independently, or by request from an ERP system. That is because some customers don't want to have a direct connection to the ERP system. Others prefer that, so there are two ways to accomplish this. Aside from the meta information, the material information, and the picture, we have also additional information in terms of parameters, of course. The parameters are included in the parameters tab. I want to go to the next tab, and this is the documents tab, because that is where our documents are stored, and this is the part where I embed my spare part catalog to my material page, to my product page. And you can see here there is that document already stored. It's an HTML file. I will select it. And with the selection, a new window tab opens and we see our publication. This is my traverse, my 3D model of it. I have my bill of material, the positions of my primary node. I have my pages here. Can switch to the other page, and I can now investigate my product. We have reached the fourth stage of our catalog process, the pricing. Pricing is obviously a main component of a web shop. Without it, it's hard to make an assessment of any purchase, and we have it here. We have the traverse, which we can order, and in fact we can order it even without any registration. I just go to my shopping cart, add it, fill out my information, and I will get it delivered according to what you see here, the price and also the delivery date. When working with web shops, that is not everything, because usually when you work with your customers, especially in a B2B process, you have contracts. Those contracts relate to pricing, they relate also to delivery time, and that should be also in my web shop. It should reflect that fact. And when I have SAP, I use for that my business partners. Those business partners are stored and maintained there, and each business partner has its own contract, and that means also when I access my web shop as a business partner, as a customer, then I should get a price, and this price should reflect our contracts. That can be, in my case, the same as on my web shop as an unregistered user. But some have different contracts, and when I log in, then a different price will appear. And this must be maintained somewhere in SAP, as our ERP system is the base for it. It's theoretically also to store that information in the webshop layer. In our case, we have it in our ERP layer. This pricing model can be very complex. I will just touch a few of it. Of course, the price itself is the main focus point, but also availability is very important. There can be different delivery times for different customers. So that means the delivery date is very important. Even partial delivery for sub-packages. In case you buy a product which is made up by several sub-components, then you can have partial delivery for those sub-packages. And everything in combination with my business partner in the ERP system. Stage 5 is the shopping cart itself. The shopping cart process is quite straightforward. It is known when you are purchasing items in the internet in general. We have our product on that page, on that side of that page, and we have our bill of material. And I want to purchase new components. I can of course also purchase them, the sub-assemblies or the main product itself, but in that case I want to purchase a spare part. And the spare part I intend to buy is the hook you see here. The hook is part of the secondary beam, so I will switch to the secondary beam. And I get the bill of material of the secondary beam. You always see there is always the cross-referencing between the 3D part and the bill of material position. I want to have the hook, the safety hook. I can select it here and it gets highlighted in my bill of material. And I will now add it to my shopping cart, which is here. I confirm it and you can see it is added to my shopping cart. I will now switch to the shopping cart. And before I do this, I will get a short overview of what is already inside. And this shopping cart content is for me okay. I want to have the safety hook and I want to have two pieces of it. Theoretically, I could also remove it, but in my case, I will keep it there. And I will start now the ordering process. With the confirmation of our selection, we switch from the technical document to the actual shopping cart, and that is a very decisive difference because the technical document describes the product in only technical aspects. It is also neutral when it comes to the price. When it comes to the shopping cart and the web shop in general, then I get a price calculation. We see our safety hook, which I selected before. I also see that there are two pieces of it. What comes now is the pricing, and the pricing is based on the calculations in the ERP. That contains the component itself, and it contains, of course, the contracts you have established with your business partner. So in case you have interests, you will see the actual price and also the actual delivery time for your component. Together, of course, I get now the final sum, which includes in my case also VAT, and I can now confirm the selection. I can confirm the purchasing order and trigger it in the ERP system, which is connected to my webshop. We have reached the sixth and last step of our spare part catalog process, the actual order request. We saw in the previous chapter that we were actually requesting in our webshop our component, our safety hook, and the request in the end goes into our ERP, our SAP. But there can be now several ways to trigger the downstream process. The first one is the straightforward direct order. So we would request to make that purchase now official and everything comes down the road without any delay or without any step in between. That is the straightforward process. But you can also make a request in general, and that happens frequently when you don't have all the authorization to make purchases, especially when it reaches a certain limit which you exceed. And for that purpose, we can also then trigger an internal workflow which evaluates whether this request is correct. And in case it is correct, it will be confirmed and the items will be transferred. Basically, we have reached now the conclusion. We have seen all 6 stages. And how can we support you in this field, which is quite complex? You saw several products involved. We had the RapidCatalog in the beginning. We have the web shop in the backend for the user, and we have, of course, the ERP system which controls both sides. And we can support you in setting up a spare part catalog process in general using the RapidCatalog from Cortona 3D. We can support you in establishing a web shop and embed the publications from the Cortona 3D, especially when it comes to the quality circle, which you just saw. We can support you in all the downstream processes and also everything what relates to SAP when it comes to purchasing. That also includes everything relating to the business partners. And we can, of course, configure anything relating to SAP in order to support you to establish that process. I would like to thank you for your attention and interest. If you have any questions to the content of this presentation, I would be happy to answer your call. You can retrieve my contact information from this slide, and please do not hesitate to approach me. Thank you again and have a nice day.